And welcome to another episode of Gatton CNC Live. I'm going to be back here at what I call my demo board today to show most of you guys. I see that who's in the chat here. Most of you guys probably are, I already know that, and that's okay. But there's a lot of folks that are brand new, and this is a good tip for them. But let's take a quick shout here and see who's out here. We got Paul Stewart. How you doing, Paul? Ray Jones from Dickinson, Texas. Welcome, Ray. Dave Krause. I saw this comment as I was looking earlier, and I guess I'm going to have to change it now because what I'm going to show you is maybe the second best thing to add. But yeah, a couple I would agree would work also. Kevin Els is here. A.L. Peleg. I hope I'm saying your name halfway close. Welcome from Israel. Clyde CNC. Good afternoon, Clyde. Michael Schuler. Landis Stutz. Gary Hammett. How you doing, Gary? Jerry Bonifield. Harry's Place. How you doing, Harry? Larry Galt said he came to see what all the fuss is about. Well, I don't know if there's a fuss, but it's just something I wanted to show some of the brand new people because I know, they have to go dig up a video or something like that. Let's see. Samurai Logistics is here. There's Matt, Awesome Wood Things Haas. Gary Long. Oops. Ryan Ellis said, I completed a Dave Gatton marathon and watched all of his YouTube videos. Only took about 9 months. Well, you did pretty good because I don't even know how many I got. Maybe you can tell me. I think I'm up over 400 or something just on this channel, I believe. Greg Euler's here. Keith Gallagher. Itching to get a CNC, but I'm so frustrated not being able to decide on what to get. Hence watching lots of YouTube vids and landing here. Okay, well, I'm a little biased on which one you should get, but Troy Pritchard's here. How you doing, Troy? NLGL, or is it in from Oregon? Okay, I don't know what that means. I think that's, let me see, isn't that Darren, maybe? I'm taking a guess here. There's somebody from Clearwater, Silver Horse 32. Ernest Sanford. We got a bunch of new folks here, at least new names. Hello from Wisconsin. How you doing, David? Good to see you. Jaron Kennel. How you doing, Jaron? He says yes, so I think that's right. I think that's Darren, I think. Dave Matthews in the house. Dreary day here in Western New York. It's pretty lousy here too. We're under a tropical storm warning of all things. I live way inland, practically to Atlanta, and Hitch says, "Good afternoon, everybody. Storm's coming my way." Yep, that's what they tell me, and it's really, really warm. So hopefully you won't get a bunch of spin up tornadoes and stuff like that. But anyway, welcome everybody. Thanks for hanging in today, man. We got a bunch of people today. But what I want to talk about, a lot of you probably going to be disappointed and go, I already knew that. I already got one of those on my machine. But one of the handiest things that you can put on a hobby CNC machine, there's lots of good things. E-stop is one. That's a pretty good, I call that part of the bells and whistles package. If you add an e-stop, homing switches and limit switches and stuff, that's another one. But to me, both of those things you could do without. I mean, I can't, I've got an e-stop on my Avid. I got an e-stop on that Sidewinder over there. I don't have one on this one. And I I can tell you I've never hit the e-stop on these machines, because usually if something goes wrong, it goes wrong right at the very beginning, and I'm still there at the computer, and I just hit the, because I got a touch screen that I run my Avid with, and I have a touch screen in this kiosk that I use for the Gatton. And of course, like I said, I got an e-stop on that Sidewinder, but I don't ever hit the e-stop. So, but anyway, if you haven't figured out what I'm talking about by now, I'll end the suspense. It's a simple thing like a touch plate, or a way to zero your Z axis. Because when you start, and again, if you're brand new and you just get a CNC or just build a CNC and you start running things and getting comfortable, and then you start want to graduate to some of the more complicated programs like the 3D stuff, and particularly the text on text type stuff, it's really critical when you're doing tool changes to get a good, Z0 with this thing. So I used to use my old Sidewinder for years without any bells and whistles at all, including one of these. And I would always use the old, turn the controller off and put the knob on there, and, do the piece of paper trick and stuff like that. And that worked fine, especially because that machine is a much smaller footprint. So it's not hard to reach up and do that. But when you get a little bit bigger machine and you're running, 2, 3, 4 tool changes and stuff, it's really handy to have something like this. So I thought today, because I know there's probably maybe somebody that's out there watching now that doesn't know how to connect one of these. So I'm going to connect this one in to this demo board and show you what all you have to do, because there's a little bit more. It's not hard at all. It's 2 wires, really simple to connect the wires, but there's a little more to it to get it to work, because you have to get a script. And I want to go through the whole process of where you can find one, how you need to edit it to match your tool plate, or whatever you want to call this. And we'll go through there, so that if somebody that's brand new will go, yeah, I think I can do that. So anyway, let's see if there's any. Michael Murray's here, says can't stay long, just wanted to stop in. How you doing, Michael? We got Mamir. I'm hoping I'm probably saying your name wrong, but he's from Algeria. How you doing? Marcello's here. Jaron used his Gatton to make a triple edge finder out of 1/2-inch aluminum. Such a simple design. Yeah. Yeah, and of course, if you're making something where you're going to find your X and Y as well as your Z, it's not really any more complicated, because the wiring's the same, but you got to have a whole different kind of script in there. And the one I'm going to show today is just the basic script just to set the Z, because most people, well, I probably shouldn't say most people, but a lot of the brand new people, I'll put it that way, really it's more important for them to get the Z set than the XY, because if you're doing something where you're putting it in the center, you can put the mark, or you can put it out on the corner, and if you eyeball it, that's close enough. But eyeballing for this usually isn't close enough. So that's why I wanted to show this today. So what I'm going to do here is, and this is the old demo board, and this is pretty much the basic setup. I haven't changed anything. These black wires coming here, this again is going to a 5-volt old phone charger. That's what I'm using to power this. That's why you see these lights. This is already powered up, and I don't have the rest of the controller on. This is the 24-volt power supply that I've left on here, but it's not being used. I thought I had a 5-volt power supply, and I came out here to put this on and realized it was 12-volt. So then I ordered another one, and accidentally clicked on the wrong one. So now I've got two 12 volts, but I finally did get a 5-volt power supply. I just haven't swapped it out yet. And I didn't bother to today because the phone charger is still working good. But you can see a little bit of difference there. This is just a little dinky 5-volt. So, all right. So what I'm going to do is I've already got these. I hadn't used this at all. This was brand new. And if anybody wants one of these are like, I think they're like $8.99. I've got the link down below. It's the very first one you'll see in the list of affiliate links. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to first put my glasses on so I can see what I'm doing. And I'm going to use, down here is a bunch of inputs, and I've got another camera set up. I'll move it over here closer once I get this wired up so that you can see what I'm doing. This yellow and, I know what I should do probably. This yellow and white, if you look over here, you'll see that's operating the e-stop that I've got there. So I'll hide that for a second just so y'all can see this better. But I'm just going to take these two wires, and here I've got some inputs here. That's where the e-stop is going. It's on pin 12, but it's got 13 and 15, and then down here it's got 10 and 11. So I'm going to use pin 10, I think, just because it's kind of handy right here. So as far as the wiring part of it, like I said, it's only two wires. It's real easy. You put one where the pin is that you want to use. So this one says pin 10. And I will move this camera back over here in just a second. And right beside it is the 5-volt. This board is a CNC 4PC C10. That's what it is. A C10. So I'll just connect this other one to the 5 volts. And we will see. Get it in there. Okay, I think it's in there. And I will move this camera and swap cameras here real quick so y'all can see. Okay, so if I hold that up, right, I'm gonna have to try to hold it still. But right here is where I'm talking about. This white wire is going to pin 10. And then the one right next to it is the 5 volts. So I've just got the black one going there. So really easy as far as setting up the wires. Not really that big a deal. All right, so I'll move that out of the way. And now what we have to do, and if I set this, I'm going to try to remember to keep these cameras going the way it should. So you can see now this screen that I have over here, the Mach 3. This is the default screen, except for the addition of right here where I'm moving the mouse. There's a little LED, and this is I actually got this screenshot from Peter Pasuelo. He has a link. I'll try to find that link and put it on there. Or I think it's just on his website. You can download this, and he's got it where he's added this little LED that lights up when you touch this. So you can see right now I've got it wired up, but of course when I touch it, it doesn't do anything. And that's because we don't have it set up yet. So let me come over here and show you what we have to do to get this thing turned on. So we'll come to our ports and pins. input signals, and then I'm just going to scroll down to where it says probe, and I'm going to enable that, and I'm going to put, in this case, with this kind of setup, it's going to be port 1, and I had that set up on pin 10. So yeah, there you can see my e-stop is set up on 1. So we'll hit apply there. Okay, now when I touch these two together here, let's see if y'all can see me. Let's see, we'll do it this way. So now when I touch these two together, you can see that little LED thing lighting up beside where it says Auto Tool 0. So the connection part of it is working, but it's still not ready to go. We have to add a script. And the way we do that is we want to come over here to where it says operator and click on that, and then come down to where it says edit button script. And then when you click on that, you'll see several things flashing. The reference all homes flashing, the Auto Tool 0's flashing. These are all things that you can change the script for. So I have to select which one. Of course, this is the one I want, the Auto Tool 0. And when I click on that, it will open up this little window here, and it doesn't have anything in it. And if your Mach 3 is brand new, or whatever software you're using, it's probably not going to have any script in it. In fact, it may have something like not being used, or I forget what it originally had, but you just kind of erase that and then copy and paste your script. Let me come over here and see if I can do this, because the script I like to use is one by, I think the guy's name is Steve at Guru Brew. He has a really simple one. And if you just come to YouTube and search Guru Brew Z0, I think that's probably all you have to do. Yeah, here it is right here. So he's got, well, if I can get past the ads. Anyway, he's got this video right here called How to Set Up a Touch Plate. Really good video. And then he also has, right down here, he says link to the Visual Basic script. And it's on a Google Drive. So if you click that, it'll take you right to the script. So that's what I'm going to be using today. So I am going to, I've already downloaded it and saved it, hopefully someplace I can remember. Yeah, there it is. So I'm just going to hit edit, select all, copy, and then come in here and then hit paste and paste that whole thing in there. So there's our script. I don't need this anymore, so I can get rid of that. So here's what the script looks like. Now, one thing you'll want to do, because most of the people that write these scripts, and I assume Steve wrote this one. I don't really know whether it's his or he got it somewhere else, but regardless, whoever wrote this script, they put little notes in here. So notice that on his, when he was using a piece of 1/16 aluminum, or about 1/16, 060. And he has a note here that you need to change that 060 to your plate thickness and then adjust for final accuracy. So what you need to do is take some calipers, and notice since I'm using this thing, I'll need to measure it like this and find out what this thickness is. And it is measuring, I guess it's probably supposed to be 3/4, but this one measures 755. I don't know if you can see that. It's 0.755. So in order to make this work correctly, I would need to come over here Get this bigger again where you can see it. So I would need to go to that 060 right here and change that to 0.755. Okay. And then you can also read any of this other stuff. I pretty much, when I use this, and this is the one I use on my Gatton CNC, I pretty much left it exactly the same. For my Gatton CNC, I use something really high tech here. I just use a piece of aluminum. So again, the only difference is this is 1/8 aluminum. So you want to take your calipers, make sure you mic this, and it's actually 0.120. So yeah, 120. So that's, instead of 0.755 in that spot, I will have 0.120. You just have to make sure you measure it. Again, use calipers. Don't try to take a tape measure and stick on the side of it or something. But you want to measure it as accurately as you can so you can get the best results. Okay, so now that I've got that done, I need to come over here and I can save that. And then close this file. And then I'm done. So now I should have a file in there that will work. So if I just, let's see if I got this. I can't remember how this was set up. No, it must be page app. There it goes. All right, let me turn this on. And it's not going to be a whole lot to see because we're going to be watching for the Z there. But if I have this over here and I've moved this, I got a piece of material down, I've got it clamped down, and then I'm going to take my thing, maybe I'm going to set it on the top of the material. And then if we hit this Auto Tool 0, you'll see the dwell flashing. And what that is, he's got about a 4-second dwell in there, which gives you time to think, oh, I don't have it in position or something. So you can see the Z-axis is going down. And then as it gets down and the bit touches, it will stop and come up. And now he's got it set to raise it 1 inch. Now, this is already 755, so that's probably not going to be enough. So if I wanted it to come up another, let's say I want it to come up another inch, I could come back to that Visual Basic editor, edit button script, click that, click on this button here. It'll bring up that program again. And if I wanted to raise it another inch, let's see if I can find where he's got it in here. Okay, yeah, put the Z retract height that you want here. It must be greater than the touch plate thickness. So if I have my touch plate thickness at 755 and I tell it to raise up 1 inch, it's only going to be a 1/4 inch or so above it. So if I wanted to make that taller, I could change this Z1 here to, let's just make that 2. And then I'll save it again and close that out. All right, so we'll do it again. We'll hit our Auto Tool 0. You see the dwell, there it goes. It's starting to come down. Then as it touches, now you see it raises 2 inches. So I know there's probably not much to see here because it's not on a machine, but I just really wanted to show you more about how to do the script and how to edit it to get it fine-tuned the way you want. So it's a pretty basic script. Like I said, it just comes down, touches, and goes up whatever height. So the only 2 things you need to worry about editing in that script is make sure that you have your plate thickness set correct, and then also your height, your retract height, how high you wanted to bring it up. Let's see if I missed anything over here. Probably not. Let's see. Different birds in the house. Snow. Oh my gosh. Yeah. It raises to 2-inch height, not raises 2 inches. Yeah, it'll be 2 inches off your material because it's including the whatever the thickness of your plate is. I think that's what we're talking about there. Yeah. Yeah, so it'll be 2 inches above your material because your zero is at your material. Okay, did I miss anything else up here? I don't think so. Dave Matthews says, I had to put mine back into the configuration. I haven't added it back since I set up the config for auto aligning the gantry. Okay. Michael Murray says, I have one. It's in the box. Just haven't learned to install it. Well, now you know it's super easy. But it's, like I said, of all the things you can add, a laser or a crosshair thing or e-stop or homing limit switches, all the things that you put on there, at least for me, I know I use this every single time I run the machine. So, the homing switches, if I have a machine like my Abbott has them, when I start it up, I home it that first time. So I use those too. But even if it didn't have them, I could run the machine fine. But this, for some of the things you run, especially if you're doing multiple tool changes, you really need this. Especially the best example is probably when you're doing the text on text, or if you're doing something where you're using a larger bit for a clearance bit, and then you need to come back with something smaller, and you really need them to get as close as possible as you can, because who likes to sand? I don't. So appreciate that, AL. 48 watch and 14 likes. Yeah, give them up, guys. Come on. Clyde says, have used G38.2 in Gerbil for probe. Okay, I'm not a Gerbil guy, so I don't. You might as well be speaking French or something for me, Clyde, because I don't know what any of that is. So, all right. Well, we got that in about 30 minutes. Has anybody got any questions or anything before I get out of here? Okay. Larry says, I installed one a while back, but I must have a problem with it because it is always about 20 thousandths higher than if I do the paper trick. Well, all you'd have to do would be to adjust that out with your, when you edit that script, you can tweak it. That's what I mean. You can set it, because maybe your calipers are out of whack or something. And when you measure it, they're 20 thou off or something. You can still fine tune it by just editing that script. And of course, the way to check it would be to put a bit in and make a little pocket, and then come back and zero another bit, and do that same pocket, and then tell if you got any little steps or anything, or if the edges match. Would it be difficult to build a CNC completely from scratch? I know a few hundred people that have done it, so no, not that hard. Chris says, glad you put this out. I learned the hard way about resetting the return height. My touch plate was 1.45, and then it would try to go to 1 inch. Not good. No, no, that's not good. That's not good. Paul Stewart says, can you hardwire that to work through your router so you don't have to clip it to your bit all the time? Yeah, you probably could. In fact, I'm glad you brought that up, Paul, because you just reminded me of a point that I hadn't made. And that is some routers, and one I know for sure that is a Porter Cable 690. If it's plugged into the wall and you go to set this, when you put this on here, it won't work. But it will work if you take the clip off and just use just the plate. It's grounded internally, so it's one router, and there's others too. I don't know right off the top of my head what the other ones are, but I know a Porter Cable will. Now, if it's unplugged and you go to do it and you think, oh, I'm using my Porter Cable and I don't need to use the clip, and you stick it on there, well, guess what? It doesn't work, because now it's going to try to plow a hole through this thing, because if the router's not plugged in, it's not grounded. It's only if it's plugged in. But that's, like I said, there's a lot of routers that aren't that way. A DeWalt 611 is not that way. You have to use the clip. So make sure if you set this up like I've just showed you today, and you put the clip on there, and as soon as you put the clip on there, you see that light come on. And another place too, let me go back here. Another place too, you can always check if you do not have, and this is how I always used to do it. If you do not have this little LED right here, you've got just the default basic screen set. Let me change this, make this bigger. There we go. If you don't have that right there, you can always come to the diagnostics, and if you look right here where it says digitize, and when you touch this together, you'll see that light up. So that's another way you can tell. But if you go to run this with one of those routers that are grounded, and you put this part under the, on the workpiece, and you go to clip this to your bit, and as soon as you clip it, even though these two aren't touching, you see that light. I guarantee you that's what it is. Your router is internally grounded, and it won't work unless you disconnect the little alligator clip. Okay, let's see. But yes, Paul, you could run a wire to do that. I don't know that it's worth doing all that, I guess, but to me, it's not that big a deal to put a clip on it. On the, I got the one for my Avid right here as well. Now it's a little fancier. It's more like what somebody was talking about, Jaron, I think, was talking about, because this is more similar to a triple edge finder. You can use it like this because it's got these ridges, and stick it right on the corner of a piece of material. Let me grab one here. So if you're putting it on a piece of material, yeah, it'll set just like that and help you find the corner. But most of the time, pretty much all the time, like I said, I very seldom use that feature. You can run this one upside down like this because it works both ways. And then it has this little magnet that just attaches to the router bit. So it makes it real simple. In fact, I usually don't stick it to the router bit. I stick it to the collet nut, and it's magnetic. So it's real easy to fool with. You don't have to mess with a clip. And they also have a very nice, if anybody does want to go the extra route and make something like this, or buy something like this, Avid or CNC Router Parts, they're the same company now. I think their website is cncrouterparts.com, but they're called Avid CNC or something like that. I've got somebody out in my driveway. Can you hear? Y'all hear my dogs in there? Somebody who obviously doesn't know I do a stream on Wednesdays. Oh, I think I know who it is. But anyway, I'm about done here anyhow. So, is there a way to double purpose items? I have a DB9 going into a Xylotex controller, 4 limit switches, an E-stop, 5 inputs. Not sure I have room. Well, most people would use like a pass-through breakout board to get yourself more things. That would be the best bet. Okay, Larry's glad he watched the show. So, all right. Yeah, don't try to use a touch plate with a diamond drag bit because it's, yeah. And like I said, either if you don't have that thing over here on this page, you don't have that little LED, always check by sticking, stick your plate on there and then touch this right here and make sure it's going to work before you hit that button to auto zero, because what happens is it's not pretty. I can tell you, it's not pretty when it doesn't work. So, all right, guys, I'm going to get out of here. What post processor do I use? I use the basic Mach. It's called Mach 2/3 arcs inches is the one I use. Okay. Better than a cup holder? Well, I don't know. It's at least the second best thing to add to a CNC. Cup holder is pretty good. All right, guys, I'm going to get out of here. I hope everybody has an awesome Wednesday. Don't forget, we've got the Christmas challenge coming up. I try to remember to mention that because it'll start officially on Black Friday, day after Thanksgiving. So November 27th, I think it is. So if you want to get involved in that, I got stuff on the website, davegatton.com, right there. You can go find out about, there's a page at the top that says 2020 Gatton CNC Christmas Challenge. So if you want to get involved in that, go check that out. Otherwise, I guess we're going to call this a wrap, and we will see you all next time.